Welcome to Zacama. Hope you're excited. As far as our opening hand goes, we'll keep on this one. Um, I just now remember. Well, for a second, like with Zacama, I called it Zacama for a minute, and then a bunch of people got mad the first time I made it, and then I almost called it Zacama again, and I started laughing. So let's go ahead and lead off with Rootbound Crag, and we're playing Zac today. The big dinosaur man. Anything else? We're going to go and pass turn to our opponent. So, but yes, welcome. This is an Enchantress build of Zacama, and it's pretty fun. So we're playing Zacama, Vigilance, Reach, and Trample. Whenever Zacama enters the battlefield, if you cast it, untap all lands you control. Then for 3 activations, across the board, 3 damage, destroy target artifact or enchantment, or you gain 3 life. So that's pretty cool that it hits all the different flavors of each color. That makes Zacama, each of the little different heads. Let's go ahead and go for Clifftop Retreat. I think that'd be pretty good. And then we'll pass the turn. Playing against Golos, Tireless Pilgrim. Golos is tired because he's searching for Sad Robot. They had lunch plans, and even though he's tireless, he can't be tired. He's still tired. But anyway, him and Sad Robot had lunch plans, and then Sad Robot forgot to charge his phone, so they're trying to find each other so they can have lunch. So that is the official lore. If you want to check it out, head over MTG Daily and not find the story I'm talking about. So, whenever Golos enters the battlefield, search your library for a land card, put it onto the battlefield tap, then shuffle your library. Then, for a 2-mana Wooburg activation, exile the top 3 cards of your library. You may play this turn without paying their mana cost. So, let's go for Mountain. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. We'll go for Herald of the Pantheon. And if you ever hear me say Wooburg, that basically means white, blue, black, red, green. That's the order in which the magic colors are positioned. And it's just easier for me to say Wooburg than it is for me to say 2 colorless and white, blue, black, red, green. So if you ever wondered what that is, that's exactly what that means. So we did cover both commanders. Let's give a quick shout out to our sponsors, MTGOTraders. If you want to get eaten by Zacama, head over to MTGOTraders. They've got a ton of dinosaurs for you to get eaten by. They've got Zacama, or if you want to build Enchantress to hopefully survive Zacama, whatever that may be, MTGOTraders has you covered. And also, I've got a merch booth set up. So if you want to check out my merch booth, head over to inkgaming.com. You can use coupon code JOLT for anything on the website to get 10% off your order. Or you can actually type in JOLT539 to pick up some cool items that I've designed. And last but not least, I started a Patreon. So if you'd like to contribute to the Patreon, there's a link down in the description below. Get your name in the ending credits or the beginning credits. And if you can't do that, hey, no problem at all. Just tell somebody about the channel. I would greatly appreciate that. And now, it is officially free time. We can have some fun. Now, with us seeing Thespian stage on the battlefield, this pretty much tells me this is going to, well, not more than likely, this is going to be a Golos land style deck. So that's something that we want to kind of keep in mind, because with Thespian stage, you can always make a copy of Dark Depths, and that's going to put a 2020 Merit Lage token on the battlefield. So that's kind of something we need to keep in mind. Okay, so we draw into Temple of Abandon. I think at this point what we'll probably end up doing is just going for Temple of Abandon to get the Scry and the Scurry and the Fever. Yeah, I kind of like that. All right, so we're going to go for Fires of Yavi Maya. And we are during our, we're going to get that reduced cost. Man, whenever you jump into commentary sometimes, it's hard to remember you get that reduced cost. So we're going to have Fires enter the battlefield. Let's go for Temple of Abandon. That way we can get the Scry and the Scurry and the Fever. Like the t-shirt too, it's pretty wild. Rampage of Clans. Let's go and put that in. So Rampage of Clans is actually a pretty fun addition to the deck. So let's go and put that on the bottom. I'll kind of explain that here in a second. Let's go and push in with Fires of Yavimaya. We're going to swing in for 2 and knock our opponent down to 24, and then we'll pass the turn. So with that Rampage in the deck, there's a lot of, this is a very heavy Enchantress build. There's a lot of times to where, let's say that our opponent has a lot of artifacts on the battlefield, or if we want to go for something like Finale of Devastation. With that Rampage, we can basically destroy all of our enchantments and get a bunch of 3/3 dudes on the battlefield. So it's always pretty fun. Now that's what I was talking about, was the Dark Depths combo. So we're gonna have a 2020 Merit Lage token on the battlefield. So we need to get some sort of answer for this Merit Lage token, because that is that might be good game pretty quick. So we're gonna try our best. Even Zacama sitting at a 9/9 and having all these abilities to untap and tap. A 2020 Merit Lage token is something that is very, very brutal. Now with Zacama, it does have reach, so we can stop Merit Lage, but we need to get something pretty bad pretty quick. So Nyala's Colossus is not what we want to see. So I guess we just end up going Slayer's Stronghold, because I'm trying to do the math right now. If we end up going Zacama, that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. We're only sitting at 5 mana. And Asceticism is not going to do much. It's going to be 20 for next turn. Yeah, what we'll probably end up doing is just passing the turn, I guess. I mean, maybe in some bizarre... Yeah, let's do this. So we go for Asceticism. That's going to give us protection. That's going to allow us to gain a life. Because maybe... Yeah, either way, it's going to be pretty rough. So we're almost going to have to top deck something next turn. We do have Darksteel Mutation. That's going to allow us to deal with Merit Lage Token. Other than that, we've got to get pretty lucky with dealing with this Merit Lage. But yeah, with Golos being a Lance Commander, you can certainly take Golos in the Lance Commander way. In fact, I highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun to play that. If you want to check out Golos Maze's End, I have that built on my channel, and it is a very fun winning condition to go for. Maze's End may seem kind of like a clunky win thing to go for, but the point at which you're kind of searching up mazes and you're going for that win, you've got a value engine established on the board that it's just really hard to stop that. You're making extra land drops, you're tutoring lands. I mean, there's just so many good things that you can be doing with Golos. The fact that you can just tutor for Mazes End right then and there. I mean, it's a very fun build to go for. It's not super budget, so kind of keep that in mind. You can probably build a Bolos. Let's go ahead and exile Time Reversal. Oh, this is going to be put into their hand. So we're going to put Scroll Rack into their hand, and because we definitely want to dodge that Time Reversal. So Scroll Rack went into their hand and Time Reversal's exiled. But yeah, long story short, you can build a little bit budget, but it's a lot of fun going for an alternative winning condition. So we've got Merit Lage swinging across for 20. That's going to put us all the way down to 12. And we're going to keep our fingers crossed to the Magic Gods. If you're keeping score at home, now would be the time to pray to the Magic Gods. Mesa Enchantress. Okay. That's not going to get it. So I think at this point, what we'll probably end up doing is we'll go for Spider Umbra on Merit Lage. And we're going to gain a life, but we're going to give it Totem Armor. It already is indestructible, and we'll go for that to Slayer Stronghold for next turn. And then, yeah, there's nothing we can do. Even if we don't even have double white for double Enchantress. So we're simply just going to go and pass the turn. Let's go swing in with Herald of the Pantheon to establish our dominance. It's going to knock them down to 18, and we'll give Old Merit Lage some double strike next turn during their upkeep. That way they can have some fun with it. So let's go for Slayer Stronghold onto Merit Lage. Yeah, there's nothing else we can do. That's unfortunate, but we'll go for that. Because that's going to give it Vigilance and Haste. It's going to make it a 23-23. That way they can just go ahead and close the game out. And good game. But yeah, you can see where, simply just having Dark Depths and Thespian Stage, just having that tutored source off of Golos makes it really fun to go for. And then, outside of, winning with Thespian Stage and Dark Depths and Merit Lage is always fun. But having the option of just building a Lands Matters deck to where you can have Lord Windgrace in the same deck. You have the option of going for Dark Depths and Thespian Stage. There's some blue stuff you can use for card filtering. Golos is a wonderful Lands commander. And if you've just never built a Lands deck, I highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun. So, good game to our opponent. They're going to swing in with Merit Lage. It's going to be 23-23. It's going to knock us down all the way to a big negative number. And shout out to our opponent. It's always nice to lose to Merit Lage. It's a very well-deserved loss. So anyways, if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye. Welcome to Yarok the Desecrated. We have the meeting of Sultai. Hope you're excited. We got Muldrotha versus Yarok. And as far as our opening hand goes, yes, we're definitely going to keep on this one. We've got two dual sources. We've got Kodama's Reach to get ahead on lands. We've got some wonderful options with Ravenous Chupacabra and Rampaging Baneloss, and a little bit of a counter magic with Arcane Denial. So I'll definitely keep this opening hand. And hopefully we can, as long as we just hit that third land drop, we'll be doing pretty good, because that'll put us on for Kodama's Reach. But also, it is Sultai versus Sultai. I love kind of special matchups like this that aren't planned. So hopefully we get a good showing from both decks, because it should be some pretty fun. Got graveyard action with Muldrotha, and then we've got Enter the Battlefield with Yarok. Now, I did kind of tweak this Yarok deck just a little bit, and I'll kind of jump into that here in a little bit. But let's go and cover our commanders and get all that stuff out of the way really quick. So let's go for Bayou, and then anything else, we're going to go and pass the turn over to our opponent. We're playing Yarok the Desecrated. Opponent's going to go for a lot of War Elves and Seal of Removal. And we're playing Yarok the Desecrated. So let's go Underground Sea. Sorry, my air conditioner's on. And it kicks on. I didn't realize it was on, and kind of bleeds into the background sometimes. So do we have Go for the Throat to stop Lana War Elves? We could end up going for that. If we end up going for that, what they might end up doing is going for Seal of Removal, cracking that to bring Lana War Elves back, which is not a bad thing. I guess we'll see. I was really hoping him the land drop. Gonti is a nice draw, but maybe we can do it during their upkeep if we would end up going for Go for the Throat. Because that might just be, well, let's just go and hold on to Go for the Throat at this point right now. I think that'll be okay. But yes, we are playing Yarok the Desecrated, Death Touch and Lifelink. If a permanent entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. Playing against Muldrotha, the Gravetide. During each of your turns, you may play up to one permanent card of each permanent type from your graveyard. That's going to be artifacts, creatures, enchantments, planeswalkers, pretty much anything that sticks around on the battlefield. So it's a good way to keep it in mind. Yeah, well, we're still just going to go and hold on to Go for the Throat. Return to nature. Okay. So unfortunately, we don't run into that extra land that we were desperately looking for. Do we just? I guess we just go and burn a Go for the Throat. Yeah, let's just go and force that issue because. Yeah, I'd hate to just discard down the hand size. We could dump something into the graveyard. This isn't a very heavy Reanimator style deck. We do have Phyrexian Delver in here, but at this point right now, just being able to get rid of Lana Warelves to hopefully keep Muldrotha back for a turn should be enough. Now, if we run into that third land, which, oh, Bramble Sovereign. Okay, all right, so we're going to go and pass the turn. We're probably going to be pretty aggressive with this Arcane Denial. As long as there's just anything of value, that's what we're going to go for. Now, at this point, I think we need to get rid of... I think Bramble Sovereign is going to give us some really good value as we go into the late game. I guess at this point we'll get rid of Gonti. Very much like to hold on to Gonti, but Gonti in this deck is definitely more of a kind of a win more style card. You know, once we have Yarok down, we go for Gonti. That's going to be double triggers, and so at this point right now we need resources as much as possible. So Bramble, Ravenous Chupacabra, and Rampaging Balos allow us to really kind of further our board state. Yeah, we've got to just get some sort of card movement on our side of the battlefield. That's going to allow them to draw a couple different cards, but at this point, we just need to get something moving. So hopefully that'll be a card draw for us. So let's put our opponent's trigger on the stack, put our trigger on the stack, and then run into Tireless Tracker. Okay, we do have to discard down to hand size, so I guess at this point, we're just going to go and dump Rampaging Balos, because, I mean, I think so. Right? Well, if we're gonna build a board state, long-term planning, maybe that ends up happening. I guess we could just get rid of Return to Nature. No, because we might need to use that exile something out of our opponent's graveyard. Yeah, let's do this. So let's just go and get rid of Rampaging Balos. We're really far away from that. And hopefully we hit that third lane. That'll put us on Kodama's reach and kind of go from there. We did cover both commanders. Let's give a quick shout out to our sponsors, MTGOTraders. If you need to build your very own Yarok or Muldrotha deck, they've got all these Sultai cards that you may need. So be sure to check them out. And also shout out to inkgaming.com. You can use coupon code JOLT to get 10% off your order, whether in your market for a custom playmat or t-shirt or something like that. Be sure to hit them up. And also, last but not least, I started a Patreon. So, if you'd like to contribute to my Patreon, there's a link down in the description below. Get your name at the beginning or the ending of the credits. And if you can't, hey, no worries. Just tell somebody about the channel. So, see if we run into that land. Temple of Mystery. Okay, well, it's a tap land. It is a land. So, we will not be, beggars will not be choosers. Farseek. So, let's see. So, we go Kodama's Reach next turn. That's going to put a land into our hand. Yeah, at this point, we just need to catch up with that ramp, so we'll definitely put that on top. And I think... So with the Return to Nature, destroy target non-black creature. Yeah, I think that's going to be pretty brutal for us. So I think at this point, let's just go and exile Executioner's Capsule at this point, because that at least just gives us an opportunity to build up some sort of board state. They don't really have that crazy of a graveyard at this point right now. I mean, if they want to go Lana Whirls and the Mishra Bauble just to get some card advantage, hey, more power to them. But the only thing that we do need to watch out for is Seal of Removal. Seal of Removal is a very, very tough card to play against in Muldrotha, because once they get it down, they just crack it, bounce a creature back to their hand, then you can just spend one blue mana to recast it on the battlefield. So it's one of those things that it's really hard to kind of get any sort of threat on the battlefield, especially if they're just bouncing your rock back every single turn. And even if you go for some sort of spot removal on Seal of Removal, they just crack it in response, and then it goes into the graveyard. So if we're going to be sequencing anything to get rid of it, we almost need to take care of Muldrotha right then and there. So, all right, so we're going to go and draw into that Farseek. There we go. It's going to come in and play tapped either way. So let's go Kodama's Reach. See if we can build up something to kind of compete with what our opponent's got going on. We have double green. I think we'll go and grab another forest. I'm going to grab another black source. Let's go and have the swamp, enter the battlefield, forest goes into our hand. We're going to make the land drop for the turn, and then we'll go and pass turn over to our opponent. So hopefully we can kind of survive from this. We do have Damnation, we have Toxic Deluge that might allow us to kind of go for a nice little reset on the board. Now, one thing that I did do with this deck is when I first originally put this video out, it is very, very heavy enter the battlefield creatures. I think we're running like 32 creatures. And what happens with that is when you go so lopsided or so heavy on creatures, it was just hard to actually get a thriving board state. And so I've kind of backed it more into kind of a control style deck where we're really kind of looking to take advantage of Sire's Stagnation, Rampaging Balos to really kind of take over the game with Yarok. So that way it's not so focused on having Yarok on the battlefield, and if we just don't really have a good creature base in our hand, we can at least get some sort of value from our side. So Conjurer's Closet, K. Not too good in this particular board state, and we've got Farseek. And that's simply just going to bounce it back. So I think we just might end up going Ravenous Chupacabra. I'd hate to do that, though, because we won't even be able to go for Farseek. It's going to enter the battlefield tapped. Yeah, if we're going to generate some value, we can take 6. That's going to be 7, 8, 9. I think we just go Farseek. That's going to be an extra land on the battlefield. And then we can go for Cream of the Crop. And that allows us just to kind of just do something. So let's grab a Watery Grave. We're going to have that come into play tapped. Let's go Cream of the Crop. And then get that down. We're going to pass the turn over to our opponent. But yeah, I kind of shifted this more to kind of a control style deck. There's some times where if you're building a certain commander, like with Yarok, it is a very powerful commander to have on the battlefield. And so, you throw as many cards around to just take advantage of it. But, if your opponent has some sort of reasonable spot removal, something like Seal of Removal and Muldrotha deck just completely shuts down a creature-heavy Yarok deck. So you can definitely see it's definitely skewed more towards having a lot of creatures that come down. But really just kind of looking to use Yarok as the kind of late-game finisher for the deck. So let's see what our opponent gets down for the turn. Okay, so we've got the entire crew. That's going to be 10. That's going to be 12 coming across. Put this all the way down to 3, and that is 18 total commander damage. So we are pretty much on the Damnation, board wipe, or bust. So let's see what we run into. Soul Ring, which is not exactly what we want to see, and there's not really any sort of a card advantage that we can generate. So good game to our opponent. They're going to get on this one. We'll go and scoop it up. But unfortunately, yeah, we just got a little bit... it didn't help that we didn't hit our land for the turn. If we end up getting Kodama's Reach down pretty quick, this game might be a little bit different. But to be perfectly honest, with Muldrotha and Seal of Removal, we probably weren't going to win this one, just simply because it is just so hard to fight a Seal of Removal, especially in a creature-heavy focus deck like this one, where we really need your rock on the battlefield. But, hey, Muldrotha's going to get it on this one. Sultai is the... playing nice little value deck. So they're going to get the value on this one. If you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye. Welcome to Gargos Fight Club. Hope you're excited. As far as opening hand goes, this is beautiful. We're going to keep it. I'd like to see a little bit more ramp, but we can certainly make this work. We've got 2 forests in the hand. We've got Lana War Elves. We've got a wonderful Enchantress piece and a Grothian Enchantress. And we've got Primordial Hydra to maybe just kind of sneak that out really quick, see if our opponent has some sort of answer. But playing against Feather, more than likely they will have an answer. So let's go lead off with Forest. Let's go ahead and lead off with Lana War Elves. And then anything else, we're going to go and pass the turn over to our opponent. So we're playing Gargos, Vicious Watcher, Vigilance. Hydra spells you cast cost 4 less to cast. Then whenever a creature you control becomes the target of a spell, Gargos fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. Now, it doesn't say instant or sorcery. It just says when it becomes the target of a spell. And enchantments and auras are a spell, so that is definitely one way that you can kind of get Gargos going. Playing gets Feather the Redeemed, flying whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell that targets a creature you control. Exile that card instead of putting into your graveyard as it resolves. If you do, return it to your hand at the beginning of the next instep. Opponent's going to get off to a pretty good start. It's going to be Talisman, Soul Ring, and oh man, I think... No, it was the other game. I just played a game where my opponent scooped pretty quick, and I had a Return to Nature in my hand. I was like, all right, yeah, we can blast the Soul Ring. But I was like, yeah, it's not over here. I don't see it. Let's go lead off with Forest. And I think at this point, if we want to start cashing in card draw, if we want to keep up with Feather, I think that's going to be the best way for us to do it. Let's go for Grothian Enchantress. Yeah, I think that'll be pretty good. So we're going to go for Grothian Enchantress. And since every point of damage matters, let's just go and swing in for 1 with, well, they've got 1 open mana. Who knows? They might have some sort of blank target attacking creature. So I will simply just go to and pass the turn, and we'll leave Lana War Elves up as simply just as a mana dork. Now we do have a couple different lines of play that we can go for. We are looking at Slippery next turn that will come into play tap, which is not the best thing for us. I'd like to have an untapped land, but at least we can go for Swiftfoot Boots. And if we can go for Primordial Hydra and get that to stick, we might be able to outgrind Feather and get enough counters on Primordial Hydra. We'll see how that goes. You know, sometimes it's not the best thing out there, simply just to kind of roll a Primordial Hydra out there, but we're going to try our best, so we'll see what can happen. And also, if you do hear Sturgill, if you hear a dog in the background, that is Sturgill, and that's my new dog. He is 4 months old, and he's very much, my wife's with him right now, and let's see, I'll kind of explain that here in a second. Let's go for Slippery. Yeah, we want to have that come into play. And let's go and get down Swiftfoot Boots. I think that'll be pretty good. But yeah, he's, I took him for a walk earlier, and he wants to go for another walk, and so he's, and I don't know if this is true for, he's a blue healer. I don't know if this is true for all dogs, but I take him to work with me, and so I spend a lot more time with him, and so my wife tells him no, or not to do certain things, he likes to talk back. He's almost kind of like he's at the teenage dog stage, and so that barking is her telling him no. And it's almost kind of like he's like, well, I don't have to listen to you by barking. But typically that just means he's tired. So when he gets to this, and it is a little bit late at night, at least for him, he usually goes to bed around 8 o'clock at night. And so that's about, it's almost 8 o'clock. So that's probably what he's yelping about. So I do apologize about the barks, but hey, good little dog. In fact, if we're talking about Sturgill, I'll keep talking about him. He is a blue healer. He's half blue healer, half Rottweiler. And he is a very fun dog. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. Ooh. That is going to be pretty rough. Okay, so that's going to be kicked. That's going to go into the exile zone too. Because a lot of our stuff is enchanter stuff, and that's going to be hard to kind of fight this feather deck with that. So now what we can do is if we just simply want to go for value plays, if we don't end up hitting some sort of really good option next turn, we might just end up getting down Hydra for 2. Instead of going for Ancestral Mask, because they're going to be able to bring that back and just basically keep hitting Ancestral Mask. So that's not going to be what we want to see. Let's go for Rogue's Passage. I think we want to do that. Yeah, let's go Primordial Hydra. If they've got Lightning Bolt, they've got it. But we're going to go on X equals 3. Because if we can get this to clear for next turn, that's at least going to allow us to make it a 6-6. It'll be 12-12, 24-24. And so... we'll just keep our fingers crossed that this Primordial Hydra is going to be good. Typically, a lot of these feather decks, you know, they are running Path to Exile, Swords of Plowshare, stuff like that. But if we've caught our opponent kind of off guard with some, where they just have a heavy hand of combat damage, combat tricks in their hand, maybe that might make a difference and allow us to get down Primordial Hydra. I was really hoping we could get Swiftfoot Boots onto Hydra, but... at this point right now, the value engine that Feather generates by just being able to return all of these instant and sorceries back to their hand is very hard to fight against. Now, if they don't end up going for Path or Swords this turn, I feel pretty good because you're going to be able to get it at your next end step. And so that's hopefully going to clear the way for us to start swinging in. We can end up going for Ancestral Mask if we want to be kind of aggressive on our opponent's life total. In fact, we might end up, Banishing Light. Okay, that's going to get it. That's going to get Hydra. And so we probably still might end up going for Ancestral Mask simply just to go for some card draw. I think that's what we end up going for. So swinging for 3, that's going to put us down to 24, and that will be 6 total commander damage. Then we draw into Reliquary Tower. Yeah, I'm not super wild about this line of play. Well, we can actually end up going for Gargos. Yeah, let's do that. So let's go Reliquary Tower. We don't have to necessarily do that just yet. So let's go Reliquary Tower, and they still might have that single white removal in their hand, but at least by us getting down Gargos, that's going to allow us to go for Ancestral Mask next turn, and then target Feather. And then hopefully we can just get the commander tax going on Feather up into the point where it's going to be really hard for them to get that down. One thing that we do want to see, that we want to keep this fight chain going, is we want to be able to keep those auras going. And one of the great ways you can do this is by Growthian Enchantress. Now, if we can find a few more Enchantress pieces, that'll really allow us to kind of outgrind the Feather value train. There's a few other Feather cards that they tend to run, whereas, you know, something happens, then draw a card, or especially something with Brute Force. Let's say we're going to go for a fight with Gargos, make it a 6-7. That'll definitely kind of complicate our fight plan of making sure that Gargos does stick around, especially with that going back to the hand. So that's something we do want to kind of keep track of. And let's get the exile zone popped up. We probably need to start writing this down. So that's going to be brute force. Oh, they do have it. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and fight. Yeah, I think we like fighting Feather on this one. Because it's going to be 6 to us. It's going to keep Gargos to stick around. And it's still going to allow us to kind of cash in that life gain. Now, if they have to burn another spell, yeah, God's willing, okay. It's going to go for that. But you can see we're just being and basically having these cantrips and Boros is really hard. You got Swords of Plowshare, God's willing, Brute Force. It's going to make it really hard for us to keep these creatures on the battlefield. Okay, so we did crack the seal on Swords of Plowshare. And we do know that 2 of the cards in there. Ooh. Alpha Authority. Now, one of the cool things you can do in an Enchantress deck, you can definitely turn a Lano War Elves into a very sizable creature. So, in fact, let's just go and go for that. I think I kind of like that. Let's go Alpha Authority on Lano War Elves and keep our fingers crossed that this sticks. If it does, I think we're pretty good. The only downside is they still have that other card in there where they can destroy it. I just now remembered that. But at least we're going to be able to kind of cash in some card draw once we go for this Ancestral Mass. All right, so we draw into Wasteland. Let's go for Ancestral Mask on Lano War Elves. Because at this point, we're just wanting to cash in card draw. And then we run into Myriad Landscape. Yeah, we'll go and have that come into play tapped. Let's go and swing in for a 5/5. It's going to knock them down to 23, and then we're going to go and pass the turn. But I'm pretty sure they've got the... I can't remember the name of it, but it's the Orange something. We're probably about to see it right now. Otherworldly Journey. Exile target creature in the beginning of the next end step. Return to the battlefield with a +1 counter on it. So, all right, so that's another way that they can... Let's get the zones popped up. Otherworldly Journey. Yeah, it's going to enter with a +1 counter on it. Okay, Feather's going to come back as a 4/5, and that's basically, they've got 4 cards in the hand, so I think to my knowledge, the 4 cards in their hand should be God's Willing, Brute Force, Orin's, I think, I keep saying Orin, but basically it was that destroy target artifact or enchantment, and then we take damage off the converted mana cost if it was kicked, and the Otherworldly Journey, so, and whatever they drew into. So, thankfully with the destroy target enchantment, they're going to have to fight through Ancestral Mask and Alpha Authority. It's not the best thing, but at least it's going to chew up some of their mana going for that line of play. Now, what we do have to watch out for is commander damage. It is very... Orin's Thunder. Orum's Thunder. That's what it was. All right, so they're going to take care of that Ancestral Mask. Now, Ancestral Mask with enchantment on the battlefield is such a good effect. Now you can see where we're kind of in a tight spot now to where we just really can't bring anything else out. We'll see what we draw into next turn, but it's going to be pretty rough, and especially with that commander tax, the commander damage kind of adding up like that. All right, so we draw into Ancient Tomb. Not going to get it done on this one because they're going to be able to swing in and close it out. But you can definitely see what we're trying to go for. Unfortunately, that's just how Commander goes. But if it didn't have that Destroy Target enchantment spell, game would have played out just a little bit differently. We would have been able to generate a little bit of card advantage. But that is how Magic goes. They had the answer for it and shut us down, and good game to our opponent. You can definitely see how having that repeated card advantage in Feather is such a hard thing to deal with. But if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.